Stephen A was the one partner I've ever had over like years.
Yeah.
Where I didn't feel like a relationship was really forming.
You could feel a little bit watching it. And it was hard to tell how much of it was theater and how much of it was like, oh, these guys just don't get along in the same way, or
whatever you feel about who you're working with and what the situation is. To me, a cardinal sin is betraying that on the air.
I just finished telling you, when it come to boxing, I lay off. Did I not? I did say that. Every time you open your mouth about basketball, it's clear this ain't your expertise.
I do think it reached the point on that show where it was like, come on, dude.
Imagine getting paid millions just to look foolish on national TV every single day. That was Max Kellerman's reality at ESPN. And when he finally sat down with Bill Simmons to spill what really went down behind closed doors, it exposed a much darker side of sports media than anyone expected. What sounded like just another interview quickly turned into a full-blown reality check about how these shows really work.
It was like I was damn near doing the show by myself.
If you're doing a debate show and you're a competitive person,
yeah,
why would you want me as a partner? That's bad. You want to go 15 rounds every day with Muhammad Kellerman? That's just bad. You know, it's embarrassing.
Max admitted something that should make every First Take fan pause for a second. His debating skills were straight up impossible for Stephen A. Smith to control. And that's exactly why Max ended up getting pushed out of one of the biggest sports shows in America. What happened next ripped the curtain wide open because, according to Max, ESPN has been playing games with viewers for years. Once you hear this, you'll never watch debate shows the same way again. Anyone who watched First Take during the Max Kellerman era could feel something was off. The chemistry between Max and Stephen A. felt forced, awkward, almost painful at times, and you could sense real tension through the screen without knowing if it was just TV drama or something much deeper.
I didn't like working with him, man.
It's not like anyone said to me, hey, this is top secret, don't repeat this. But I think there's a general understanding that if someone's talking to you in private, it's a private conversation. And I wouldn't repeat that unless they said it was okay to repeat what they told me.
Yeah.
So that's what I could tell you about, like the behind the scenes stuff on First Take, for example.
Max cleared that up instantly when he told Bill Simmons the truth. Stephen A. Smith was the only co-host he ever had where a real relationship never formed. Years of sitting side by side, arguing sports every single day, and they were basically strangers who just happened to share a desk for the entire run of the show. Max lived by one strict rule. No matter how uncomfortable things got backstage, no matter how he truly felt about Stephen A., he refused to let that tension leak on air. To him, keeping personal issues private was pure professionalism. He believed Stephen A. followed that same code too. And that belief turned out to be a massive mistake. It was like everything he trusted about how the game was played suddenly collapsed right in front of him. When Max left First Take, Stephen A. went on a full-blown podcast run, talking like the show magically got better the second Max was gone. Everywhere he showed up, the message was the same. He was carrying the whole thing the entire time, while Max was painted like dead weight who barely mattered at all. Max had no choice but to sit back and watch his former partner drag him publicly, blowing past every unspoken rule about keeping behind-the-scenes business private. That line was never supposed to be crossed, and once it was, there was no undoing it.
Stephen A. has no hot takes. Stephen A. almost never, I can't think of any counterintuitive conclusions that he ever reaches. That's not his job on the air. His job is to be the big reactor to a counterintuitive conclusion. Reactor. Just, he's there to hear the crazy conclusion that his partner has come to and actually be the everyman with a loud voice. Like, you are crazy.
Are you on donate it to charity? Are you on drugs? Right out there on Front Street on Twitter.
Stay off the weed.
That's the exact moment Max decided enough was enough. It was finally time to tell his side of the story. His interview with Bill Simmons made his stance crystal clear. If someone talks to you in private, it stays private. Nobody needs to whisper, "This is confidential," for that to be understood between coworkers.
You don't leak personal conversations to the media, and you definitely don't throw your former partner under the bus just to boost your own image. Stephen A. did exactly that, and that's why Max finally broke his silence about what really went down.
Then Max dropped a comparison that explained everything perfectly. He compared it to boxing. Imagine agreeing to spar with Bud Crawford for 15 rounds every single day, live on camera. While everyone watches you get worked over again and again. Eventually, you're gonna say, I'm done with this. And that's exactly what happened here.
There's a lot of pressure on his partner to come up with a counterintuitive conclusion about everything. Now, how do you do that? You know, what you do is you take a topic, and a good producer will start to drill down on the topic and say, okay, so you agree about this. So Mahomes is a great quarterback, but what does he do well and what does he not? And you keep going down until until you get a divergent opinion. Well, actually, I think he is good at this. No, I think he's good. No, actually, the most important player on that, we both think this is going to win. This team's going to win the championship. We both think this is why. Drill down. But no, actually, the key player is, other than the superstar, is this guy. No, it's that guy. Actually, Draymond Green is the second most important player on the Warriors. But there was a lot of pressure on that show. Like Stephen A's opinion will not diverge into counterintuitive almost ever. So his big take will be, but he'll deliver it theatrically, is Steph Curry is the greatest shooter that God ever created. Who does not know this?
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. The difficulty with me on that show was it was a lot of work to keep digging until I said the thing that I believed that would also get a reaction.
Is Kawhi actually a better player under pressure than the great Kobe Bean Bryant?
Yes, he is. No one had more heart than Kobe. So there was pressure on that show for me to keep digging until you hear something you think is crazy.
Max could argue any position, back it up with facts, and force Stephen A to actually work for every single point. That kind of debating is exhausting. Stephen A didn't want that smoke anymore, so he went looking for someone he could dominate on camera instead. Money explains everything about why Max got pushed out. Stephen A figured out something real quick. Networks will drop insane money on one superstar, but they won't pay that same bag for two equals. Being seen as a solo act instead of half of a duo means you can demand way more cash, way more power, and way more control. And Max sitting right next to him, making sharp arguments and holding his own, was messing up that image. Stephen A didn't want to be part of a pair. He wanted to be the guy, the face, the voice, the only name people think of when they hear First Take. That wasn't an accident. It was the plan. What happened right after Max left proves it. Stephen A rolled out his own podcast, tightened his grip on First Take, and turned the show into a revolving door. Patrick Beverly and J.J. Redick popped up first. Then the Morris twins. Then Mad Dog Russo. Then Kendrick Perkins became a regular. None of them were permanent. None of them were equals. They were just temporary pieces, easy to swap out whenever it suited him. That's not a debate desk. That's a one-man show. Stephen A. Smith's show, exactly how he always wanted it. But the wildest part of Max's interview wasn't even about money, ego, or jealousy, even though all that was clearly in play. The real shock came when Max explained the actual job ESPN forced him to do, and once you hear this, First Take suddenly makes sense in the most twisted way possible. This is the part that permanently changes how you watch sports debate shows. Max's entire role was to look crazy, to take wild positions on purpose, so Stephen A could react like the calm, reasonable voice and look smarter every time. ESPN built the format that way. Max plays the villain, Stephen A plays the hero, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. By design, Stephen A. Smith isn't the guy throwing out wild, risky takes. He almost never lands on a conclusion that goes against popular opinion. His real role is being the loud reactor. The guy who hears a crazy take and explodes on it, making the audience feel smart for agreeing with him. Every First Take segment you've ever seen follows the exact same formula. Someone drops a controversial opinion and Stephen A instantly snaps back with, "Are you crazy? Stay off the weed," while playing the everyday fan with the megaphone. He's not there to surprise you with deep thinking. He's there to shout. Stephen A's job is simple. Validate what viewers already believe by making the other person sound ridiculous. That setup put insane pressure on Max because he had to come up with counterintuitive takes on everything. The topic didn't matter. Max's job was to find an angle that would trigger reactions every single day. And doing that daily wasn't random. It was a system, a process that's both clever and disturbing at the same time. Max explained how producers would take any topic and drill down until they forced disagreement. Everyone agrees Patrick Mahomes is great, boring TV. So producers push deeper. What does he do well? What doesn't he do well? They keep pressing until friction appears. Both hosts think one team will win the title? Cool. Now who's the most important player besides the superstar? Max names one guy. Stephen A names another. Boom. Instant argument. That's how debates are manufactured. Saying something like Draymond Green was the second most important player on the Warriors isn't about truth. It's about heat. It makes people mad, drives clicks, and gives Stephen a something to scream about. Max actually had to believe these takes on some level. And that's the crazy part. He couldn't just make things up. He had to dig deep into his real opinions until he found something he could stand on. Even if it sounded completely insane to most people, that pressure never stopped, not for one single day. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith was firing off takes like Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created, which everyone already knows and nobody argues against. Say it loud enough, say it dramatic enough, and suddenly it sounds like a genius insight when it's really just a basic fact. That's the formula. And it works. Stephen A. never had to live on the edge. He didn't have to defend wild positions every single day. Max did. Every topic, every show, Max had to find an angle that made him look unhinged while still being something he could argue with a straight face. Kawhi Leonard is better under pressure than Kobe Bryant. Max said yes, knowing it would set people off. Tom Brady is about to fall off a cliff. Max said it, and got cooked when Brady won even more Super Bowls. Then came the take that broke the internet. Fate of the universe on the line. Last shot to save everything. And Max says Andre Iguodala over everyone. That clip went viral, and people clowned him for years. Now it finally makes sense why Max said all that stuff. ESPN needed him to be the controversial one, the hot take machine, the guy saying wild things so Stephen A. could swoop in, shut it down, and look like the hero every time. That wasn't an accident. That was the job, whether Max liked it or not. And for the record, Max Kellerman is still way more reasonable than Skip Bayless. And that's exactly where the whole system finally snapped. Max even called Skip Bayless insane in interviews. And the reason was simple. Skip lives for hot takes. He loves being the villain, loves saying outrageous stuff about LeBron James or whoever else is in the spotlight. That chaos is his natural personality. But Max isn't wired like that. Max wants real debates, longer conversations, actual breakdowns and analysis. That's what he's built for. Playing a cartoon character who says wild stuff just for reactions made him uncomfortable, and ESPN could feel it. Stephen A. could feel it too. He knew Max wasn't enjoying the role and wasn't fully committing to being the crazy hot take guy. And when one co-host doesn't buy into the formula, the whole show suffers. Viewers can always tell when someone's faking it. The energy changes, the chemistry cracks, and that's when Stephen A. made his move. Max was gone, and in came people who generate controversy without even trying. Mad Dog Russo is famous for explosive rants, and Kendrick Perkins regularly says things that make NBA fans lose their minds. These guys don't force it. Chaos is just who they are. They fit the first take formula perfectly, and they make Stephen A. look great without him having to grind for it. Looking back, Max and Stephen A. were never going to work long-term because they wanted completely different things. Max wanted respect as a serious analyst. Stephen A. wanted to be the star of a TV show fueled by outrage and viral clips. Those goals don't line up. Max was never going to be happy playing dumb to make someone else look smart. And Stephen A. was never going to share the spotlight with someone who might outshine him. Could Stephen A. have handled it better? Absolutely. Dragging Max publicly after he left was unnecessary and disrespectful. From a business angle, though, Stephen A. made the right move for himself. And now he's one of the highest paid figures in sports media with total control. Over time, Max moved on and built his own lane elsewhere, doing his thing and staying true to himself. But let's be real, he never reached the same level of fame or money. And that alone proves Stephen A's strategy worked, even if it got ugly along the way. The bag followed the formula, not the principles. But the real lesson here isn't about Max or Stephen A as individuals. It's about what sports debate shows have turned into. They're no longer about deep analysis or honest breakdowns. They're about creating characters, manufacturing chaos, and chasing viral moments people will spam all over social media. That's the business model now. One person plays a reasonable voice the audience already agrees with. The other says something wild that makes everyone mad. Then you reset, do it again tomorrow, and keep the money flowing nonstop. Max pulled the curtain back and showed how the machine actually works. Most of what you see is carefully constructed to trigger emotions, not inform you. The debates aren't always real, and the takes aren't always honest. It's performance art designed to keep you locked in and arguing with your friends all night. From now on, every time you watch First Take or any sports debate show, this will be in the back of your mind. You'll start wondering which opinions are real and which ones are just someone playing a role. You'll question whether the anger is genuine or just manufactured for ratings. And that's exactly why most people in sports media wish Max stayed quiet. But he didn't. He told the truth about his experience, and now we all know what was really happening behind the scenes. So does this change how you watch these shows? Or do you just accept it as entertainment and enjoy the ride anyway? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more unfiltered sports truth, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, because this is the conversation sports media doesn't want happening out loud.